I've got a short summary of what Jim and Stephanie and Greg said their goals were at the beginning of the year. And they're going to give a short summary of, how that went. And we're going to finish off with some talk bits about where we're going next year. So Jim started out his big plan at Sunrise, running 40 stores, was to get his loyalty live and to get up to the final tier of scan data with Altria. And he's got some successes there and some new surprises that he wants to talk about. Stephanie's got a pretty big set of things this year, working on culture, building their team leadership, growing the bench, thinking about succession planning, and then bringing in some analytical support for the people. And Greg, down in Texas, and Stephanie, you have 36 stores, I believe. Is that right?
35.
35. All right. Greg has a dozen or so stores uh, down in Texas. And the short summary was we got to focus on keeping operations running well. And we have a couple of businesses and we are growing our C-store business. And so our existing operations gives us an opportunity and format to make that happen. So I'll start out, just give everybody a chance to clarify anything that I summarized incorrectly, and then Mason will be taking some questions and feeding those in. But we wanted to start off, I thought, Stephanie, your transition and your plan about this, and you ended up on the succession planning side, and that was a segue that came up naturally with Jim and Greg later on. So can you give us the how it went and how you succeeded in your short version, please?
Sure. So regarding our culture, our focus was refocusing and refining our services. So we look at our leadership team looks at our customer as everybody that we would interact with. So our support team is our customer. Our team members on frontline are our customer. And then, of course, the people coming in the door are our customers. So we did a lot of review and surveying of the customers through our app. We did internal surveys with our team members, and we coined it, I guess, for lack of a better reference, our magic and misery moment. So we were able to segment that feedback by type of individual that we were asking feedback on, and we were able to then derive goals specific to what our customers were telling us. So we've started a couple of things in 24 and will continue and add to in 25. Again, I referenced the magic and misery moments. So we basically did a customer survey on all types of our customers. We began a Love Thy Neighbor award. So that's a peer-nominated quarterly award where we can look around the organization and submit someone for a Love Thy Neighbor award. And there's certainly some guidelines that we stick with. And so every quarter we identify the person that is the winner, and they get a care package, because often those that are big time givers maybe don't take care of themselves. So we try to do that full circle, acknowledging those individuals and then doing something kind for them. And then we have John F. Lassus Legacy Award. So John is our CEO, really big into taking care of those within the community. So we identify one person annually who exudes those same attributes, and we acknowledge them at our Christmas party, and they get a really cool gift. And, we promote that on our social media and things of that nature. And then just moving into 25 to double down on that, we're doing some Lassus Learn content. We have online learning that we provide, and we're just expanding on that, the subject matter and the tools to go along with that. We've established quarterly lunch and learns for our in-store trainers, our assistant managers, and our managers. And there's always going to be a soft skill there. Emotional intelligence was our quarter one, and then something technical within. So our marketing team might come in and present something new that's upcoming, or maybe we'll go back and review skills necessary. And then the last thing is we started a Lassus book club. So every quarter, again, we're going to choose a soft skill. Last quarter, was humility, and this upcoming quarter will be emotional intelligence. So we'll start to see that consistent full circle moment present throughout the years. But those are kind of some of the things that we initiated last year, and we're adding to this year to take care of the full person, taking care of the people coming in the door.
I got a zillion questions. I'm going to come back around, but just one quickly. How much time did you spend up front to do all of that survey and the analysis to put this plan in place, would you say? And how many people were involved?
So we have 4 directors for the 35 locations, and they kind of split and divided the work. But for our customer, our loyalty app has a really easy customer survey, and we can drop it in the store. We can forward face that at the register and at different parts of the store, and then we just push it. And I think we gave them a pop or coffee, or there was some kind of gift for that information from them, and we'll do that twice a year. And then internal, we have multiple means to communicate with our team members, but one is we have an internal Facebook page that just our team members can be a part of, and that's where we'll post things like that. So it's protected. It's really more it's actually called the inspiration page, where we share good news and celebrate birthdays and anniversaries and things like that. But that's where we will drop that type of survey in addition to our intranet, email, Teams, things of that nature.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Jim, I think your conversations about loyalty is one way I could segue over to you. And I know you're at a slightly different place, and that was part of your goal. Any questions for Stephanie before you share some of what you're experiencing there at Sunrise?
Yeah, just so I love that idea of the internal Facebook. Do you offer your employees an internal app version?
We do. We
Yeah.
do. I think it's Lassus Connect or something. And
Okay.
so you're able to group your team members. So in addition to that, we have a gas discount that we offer 4 times
Yeah.
a month. So you can group your team members as its own customer group. And that team member will see another banner across that app that the customer won't see. And so they'll be able to click in there, and we can direct message them. We're very cautious with what we use on there, just so that it doesn't become a dumping ground. But things such as, if it's Saturday and we have a fraud alert, we can actually get on there and message out to all the team members. So if they're at work and they get that app notification, they know there's something live going on in the Fort Wayne area, for example. So we're very sensitive to what we put there. But that grouping is awesome. We use
Yeah,
it for a
so
lot of
we
things.
thought like maybe that'd be a good way to just do some incentives out there to, just thank them for being part of our team. So,
They
okay.
love their gas discount. Love it. We know when it's not working well.
And then, so this magic and misery, is
Yeah.
this mostly focused on the customer, or is it only the customer or employees?
It's both.
It's
So
both.
every
Okay.
every customer complaint or comment we get is logged, and it can be filtered. So when we go looking for setting goals, or we're looking for changing a process, we can filter that out and see where our trouble's at, so that we can make sure that that's addressed. And then on the team member side, they give department specific feedback. So we get lots of praise, but we're also able to identify if there's a communication gap or anything of that nature. And so we also filter that information by department, and that's how we set some of our annual goals and KPIs.
I mean, these are fantastic. You guys are doing a great job over there, so
Thanks.
that's
Thank you.
nice.
So, Jim, I hear you focusing on the communication side, and you had some good success getting ready for some really big stuff with your self-checkout, your new POS systems, everything. But you had talked to me about what are the things you changed. I don't know if that's still the way you feel. Was the staffing issue, or what are you seeing as the biggest impact from your goals this year? Good and bad.
I guess I don't remember the staffing issue, like as
Just
far
like,
as,
having people that were really good at their job and that focus area and
So you're talking about the recent issue I'm having?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me backtrack. So, my main, when Tom asked my main goal, 100%, what is driving us to get vested into this app rewards program is getting to the highest platform of the digital tobacco companies. The companies that are offering the highest, discounts, buy downs if you go through, if you're at the highest tier. So that has been the driver, right, for us. And it's been a hurdle because no one's an expert, right? It's still relatively new. So just trying to overcome all those hurdles. And you definitely, if anyone's out there taking this on, you have to, there's no guideline for it that works for everyone. You just really got to think about, like Stephanie, I talked to you about Hank, like we would communicate, like getting to know people at shows, Bandyworks. You guys have been fantastic. Knowing the right person at PDI. There's no one who's going to have every answer. So now that we're technically on tier 3, I don't know if it's if we're going to be able to take advantage of all the opportunity there because we haven't launched our reward program, right? So once we launch our app, which will coincide with our rewards program, we'll actually see if all this work was worth it, right? So, like anyone in our position, you have curveballs. So we were moving along, having the same hurdles that everyone has, trying to get to this tier 3 or whether it's tier 3 or RJ, we're working ahead, we're making progress. Well, then all of a sudden, the key person in our company left. So then it makes you just revisit how you became vulnerable to one person having that much,
Hmm. Hmm.
just knowledge and control. So she worked for me, and I'm busy. Bandyworks knows that my boss has no problem adding tasks to my schedule. He's good about not really writing me about it, but he just throws a lot on my plate. So it was very easy for me to let this person. I taught her everything, but I walked away from it, and I have the unique ability to pretty much flush out all memory of how things work. So now she left, and now I've been spending probably 3 weeks now every single day trying to train a new person. So
Hmm.
now my focus is still to get the app reward program, but now my number one job is this person was pivotal in all of those things. So what was a couple years of teaching her, now I'm trying to teach someone in a month. So now I'm
Hmm.
focused on, I need to work better at cross training and um, in making sure I stay involved, dedicating, scheduling time on a consistent uh, basis on me staying involved with all of these critically important parts of our world now. They weren't that important 2 years ago when it was just talk. Well, now that they're getting implemented, it shuts us down. Like, and I guess if I gave any advice to anyone is just don't make yourself this vulnerable.
Hmm.
Make sure that these are really new skills. Like it's not an accounts payable that you can just bring someone. These are new skills, and
Hmm.
to be honest with you, I didn't play it right. So now I still have the same goals, but now I'm completely focused on that right now.
I've got some definite follow-up questions on that. Staying engaged, but letting it go. I
Yeah.
could, that's a whole book right there, Jim. But that's an awesome segue down to Greg. Greg, we were talking and have talked many times about your success at letting things go and your ability to focus on growth. But I'm just going to throw it open, Greg. What are you hearing? What are you thinking as you're looking back at your goals and listening to these guys today?
Yeah, and I don't know if what I've got to add will be as helpful as Stephanie and Jim, but I really did, just like Jim commented there, I really like the idea of the internal Facebook page that Stephanie threw out. Uh, and that, and that whole idea also of a gas discount for employees is sounds really cool. And then as far as what Jim was talking about, with cigarette pricing and the highest level of rebates, I've always said our guy Hendricks has a PhD in cigarette priceology, because that before he came along, that was the most mind-boggling thing that we dealt with. Uh, and so I was just sympathetic to what Jim was talking about with that. But yeah, as far as us and my comments, we've just been in a really fortunate position. I would say, looking back over 2024, partly through you and with what Hendrix has got going, our culture, I think it continues to improve. I'm so proud of the people that we attract, our store managers, and then the core team that they attract at each store. And so, the cool thing is, without even really realizing it, we just keep hitting a lot of growth milestones.
Hmm.
And because of this, Hendrix and I chatted a little bit, but we looked back over 2024 and realized that, we did two large store expansions. We bought a Chicken Express franchise. We put in a car wash. We put in a bunch of new pumps. We continue to beta test a couple of different technological things along the lines of what Jim was talking about. And so, yeah, and in addition to that, we're set to expand with a new store right after the beginning of the new year. And so I just feel like I'm, luckiest guy in the world because a lot of great people are making all these things happen, and I kind of just calmly get to pick and choose the right areas for us to grow next. So.
Greg, I love it when people tell me they're fortunate and then they describe all of these disciplined practices that they put in.
Yeah, yeah. I would say I'm fortunate 'cause I'm not by nature the most self-disciplined, methodical person in the world. I've been accused of being, ADHD type of guy, but I do know when, the people around me are doing a great job at that. I admire it and try to help foster it. So. Yeah, we do have some good processes in place. I feel like I said, Stephanie's comments were more helpful, and I got a lot out of it. But I feel like the thing that you and I were talking earlier this morning, like I don't remember the last time we lost a store manager, and that's phenomenal because before we started getting more, building this culture, we went through store managers quite often. And so, I'm just super proud of what we're putting in place and all the people that are helping make it happen.
Well, I know your store managers pretty well, and
Yeah.
they work pretty darn hard. I'm going to segue out. We're going to take a pause, and we got a few questions coming in. But if I've got one of your store managers, if I don't ask this question, she's going to be on me, and she's
Hmm.
pretty good at being on me. So we can't answer all the detailed questions in one of these things, but I think it's something that a lot of people. Stephanie talked about communicating. Jim talked about putting the things in place. So I think it's related. I'm not going to ask her exact question because you know who she is and you could ask the exact question. But when you're running a store, you want stuff, right? You got a competitor coming in and you want your store to be good. How do you all go about communicating and sharing? Because you want people to give you their ideas, but you can't implement every single idea, but you can't squash it. So this is out to everybody. The question came from your team, Greg, but I'm going to throw it out to the other two first because she's on this call. And how do you help your store managers when they're asking for stuff? And what's the process? Jim, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll bounce it back over to Stephanie, and then come back to you, Greg.
So I don't have as much involvement with our area managers, our managers, as much as the other guys here probably do. But I know that if we are very open to there. I would say most of our policies originated from a clerk, right? So we listen to them. So we typically, if something is brought up, we throw it to our area managers. We have a discussion and we decide whether to implement it. I guess the biggest thing is we just listen, right?
Huh.
I mean, that's it. We do listen, and I'm telling you, the owner of our company, we are like you, Greg. Um, I think our average manager's been here over 25 years. So. And it is very obvious to the owner of our company that the most important person in our organization is the clerk. We're all important, but if they're not there at the till, we're not getting paid, right? So there's just a level of respect. There's no job that's beneath you. So they're just open. They're very open to sometimes just constantly
I'm picturing
feeling
Tom right
like
now driving
complaining, but
that delivery truck going out
yeah.
the doors right now.
We just listen, and you have to listen. You have to hear and respect everyone in your organization.
Thank you, Jim.
What, Tom, does Jim, does somebody with your company, does the owner drive a delivery truck sometimes?
One day a week, I always say he drives a delivery van up north, and it is a
Yeah.
van that looks like you innately grab your child and
Oh
hold them
no.
closer. When he
Yeah.
goes by, he drives this van up, no windows. He just takes it up, goes to every store, knows all the clerks. He does it one day a week. Very hands-on guy.
Yeah.
And he's a
That's
young man
awesome.
like me. So
Yes, he is a very young 65-year-old.
That's awesome.
Stephanie, there's so many things to choose from, and then I've got to throw some specific questions from the crowd out to you.
Yeah, so if you're referencing, product for the customers, our buyer and our merchandiser, we have two ladies. They're very in tune and open to offering solutions and opportunity. Our merchandiser is one of the younger in our group, and so she knows all the TikTok trends, and so she's often leading those discussions live in the store. And I feel like we're constantly re-merchandising to chase the fun out there. When it comes to solutions and offers, such as right now, one of our topics is an outdoor ice machine. You pull up and you drop your cooler and you can fill up however many pounds of ice. We need to do better at that. It seems that we get caught up in a whirlwind of discussion and consideration, and before you know it, 6 months later, there's no progress. And that has to be frustrating for the team member who's brought this great idea and did the due diligence and got all the information and presented it. So we have identified that we need to come up with some type of soft process, but a process so that they know what to expect. They've got some guidelines on what to gather and maybe some more measurements on what an assumed ROI would be. So I think we actually have some work to do when it comes to that part of our business. And
That's the hardest one, right? How do you
yeah.
encourage them to give you ideas, but prioritize and communicate. But I guess communication is a big part of that. I'm going to shift a little bit here. The person that I sat in his office and built the first product we ever built has asked this question. So, team gas discounts, is there a magic number? I want to throw it to everybody for discounts in general, but Stephanie, I think that was directed at you.
Yeah, there's no magic. We did 20 cents. So it's not weekly, it's 4 times a month. So they can use all 4 times in one setting. We don't limit it to the type of vehicle. So if their wife comes up and knows their loyalty number, the wife can fill up. So we don't put a lot of boundaries on it, but it's 4 times. So we kind of have that maxed out, but it's 20 cents a gallon. And I don't want to say we plucked it out of the air, but we plucked it out of the air. Like
Yeah,
there was
that's a
no
nice
science
number.
behind that. Yeah.
That's a
It was
nice number.
appealing. Yeah, I felt like it was appealing.
Yeah.
I think you could go higher or lower and still have a successful program. But we've been at 20 since we originated.
My kids worked as sheets when they in the summer jobs, and they would bounce around between 10 cents and 50 cents, and they had all kind of complicated programs built in. But everybody loves
Yeah.
a discount, don't they?
Yeah. That was one of
And
the first questions we got asked when interviewing new hires. Do we get a gas discount? And I said no for years, and we finally get to say, actually,
Yeah,
yes, we
nice. That's
do.
nice.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
I know when we're dealing with store managers, giving those $25 gas cards is a big deal right now,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And sorry, Stephanie, is this one's coming back to you as well. Is the book club mandatory?
No, no. It's so this is really new. I will preface. So I'm sure it'll evolve, but it's limited to 12 participants because we want to keep it intimate where they can be really deep but safe discussions. And it's you submit an application, and it's not deep, but you submit your interest. Haven't gone over 12 yet, so I haven't run into that conflict
Is
yet.
it
But
open
we
to
want
outsiders, as a book
uh,
fan?
oh, not yet.
Not yet.
But we did just discuss because we go up to 100 miles out from our home office. So I think this quarter, what I'm going to do is do a live, and then if there's team members that their only conflict is travel, I'll probably do a second Teams or Zoom event, because once the content's created, it's really not a lot of extra effort for me to do a second round. So I'm going to try that out this year or this quarter and see how that goes.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. We got 10, 15 minutes left. So if anybody has questions, we are going to save a little bit of time at the end, but we wanted to talk about how this impacted you and how does that, from what you've done, how are you changing or thinking about 2025? And Greg, I'm going to come down to you. Jim said vulnerability is something that he did, and we had a conversation. And you keep talking about fortune and culture, so I'm gonna leave this wide open. Culture, succession planning, growth. How does your 2024 impact as you go forward, or maybe it's none of those?
It's really hard to say, because if you'd asked me at the beginning of 2024, would we have done some of the things I listed? I don't know that they were on our radar. I think for us, it's just a mindset that we're looking to keep identifying opportunities, and and the nice part about that is, we're trying to make a company here where there's some chance at upward mobility. And so, for us, Tom, we talked about this today, but the big Bucky's grand opening is about 8 days away. And so personally, I'm just going to be evaluating how that impacts us. I think a lot of people that I've talked to feel like we do a great job at what we do. Bucky's kind of does something differently than what we do, and I expect that after a lot of gnashing of teeth about it, I think we will be just fine, and we'll keep looking at our growth path, and stuff will come along
Hmm.
that we don't even know about right now. So
I love that. I've got so many follow-up questions, but I got to shift. But I'm going to throw this
yeah.
out there. Maybe Jim or Stephanie will pick this up on their turn, but maybe not. And I'll come back to you, Greg, if not. But it sounds
Mhm.
like you shifted from culture to branding to your strategy. You kind of just merged them all together, and you're comfortable with more flexibility, it sounds like. So I'm just going to leave that hanging for. Well, go ahead. I don't want to take too much.
No, I think I would also say it's just, we spend a lot of time analyzing our competition. And so, I feel like all of the great people that I talked about earlier do a great job of knowing our customers. And so, it's kind of on me and Hendrix to know our competition. And so that's going to be a big focus for us in the early part of 2025. Because I mean, anybody in the Panhandle could tell you, and I don't know how it is for Stephanie or Jim, but there are a lot of stores in the pipeline coming on. I mean, we are operating in a highly competitive marketplace now. Every time we turn around, some Quick Trip or Buc-ee's, Road Ranger, somebody's throwing up another monster travel center. And so I've just been incredibly pleased with how well we're positioned in some great spots that aren't that vulnerable. And so I just love it that our people keep focusing on our customers, and it's working because, we see a lot of great trends when it comes to our sales, year over year comparisons. And it's like no matter how many new stores keep going up around us, we keep making our way.
Nice. Thank you. Jim, I don't have a question. I'm just going to leave it open. There's so many things we've talked about. You got one that sticks out to you?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of we're in rural settings. I read the national magazines, I hear about these Buc-ee's. There's probably not one that's probably 400 miles from here, but everyone knows about them. So that's good, your attitude, because we have sheets coming into the Detroit area, but that's still about 30 miles away. We're not being naive. We know they're going to be in our areas sooner than later. We have had though, like pilots and Loves come in right across the street from us, and we know we're probably not going to be able to duplicate a lot of the things that make people stop there. So we just had to pivot and add something else. Like one store, we added liquor, and we added a little bit. We added a pizza program. Just to try to get to stay relevant. And it's worked, but you do have to change it up a little bit. But I do want to go back to what Stephanie, you had mentioned when I said you need to listen to your employees. I will say when you mentioned product, I would say our third highest category really originated from clerks. They were telling us about an item is during COVID, right at the beginning of COVID, and we just listened and we kind of ran with it, and it's just exploded since then. But that is just a proof example of when you
What
said
is it?
it is it's Breeze.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. I'd
Yep.
never heard of it, and I had a
Me
couple
either.
clerks at one of our stores saying customers keep asking, and
Yep.
yeah. So you got to
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
could do a whole hour on vape products, couldn't we? Just the constant.
Not today, somebody.
Not today. Not today.
Yeah.
Jim, I think I just heard you completely endorse Greg's approach. And I think
Yes,
Stephanie, you said
100%.
the same thing about, yeah, we need structure, but gosh golly, we're small, dynamic. I mean, you guys aren't that small, but uh, we got to be flexible, is what I'm hearing. I
Flexible, and
expected
then
more
if you got good customer
analytics.
service, I mean, that means, Bucky's, like you said, it's going to be it's going to get people there. People are going to be interested. But at the end of the day, you're a convenience store, right?
Mhm.
People want to go in, get what they want, as long as you provide them with the product and you provide a great atmosphere, clean, friendly. I think that, you should be okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I've thought for a long time only Buc-ee's can be Buc-ee's. And
Right.
so we're not going to ever be Buc-ee's,
Hmm.
but we are going to keep doing what we do, and that seems to be working.
Yeah.
All right,
So.
Stephanie, one last time, and we're going to go into wrap up mode here. So, no question. What do you guys have been sharing ideas? What are you hearing? What are you thinking about as you're going forward?
If you're referencing the 24 moving into 25, our big initiative will be we're bringing in our 5th gen family member. We're going to start our 5th generation
Wow.
mid-year. So, this next 6 months, we're going to be building out his training path and getting him exposed. You talked about an owner in a truck, and we really want to give him some fundamental jumping points. So he's going to be exposed to all corners of the business. And I'm really excited about that, but there's a lot of build out, right? And there's going to have to be a lot of engagement in the store, and we're going to get some people really excited about that next generation coming in, and some buying into that. So with that comes a lot of responsibility, and that will be a big initiative for us. And every time you bring someone in or move someone, that creates that shuffle. And I'm a chess girl, or I'm a checkers girl, trying to play chess in that scenario. So we're just going to be really diligent and intentional, and calmly move throughout that, so that we take care of all those people that have been serving the organization, and make sure we take care of everybody in that process. So super exciting, big responsibility, and that's where we'll be focused.
I love it. I love it. I always wanted to be an MBA student. I haven't done it, but sometimes I just wonder if the Nike MBA, just do it, is a big part of it. Listen well and keep moving.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to give you the hardest one. I think everybody has somebody from their company on this, so I want you to really think about this question. So the question I get when we're talking to store managers, the thing that they want to know most: what does my boss want from me? And I hear you guys talking about them all the time, so I know it's good. Does anybody want to start that out as we move towards a wrap up? I got one other specific question, but I'm going to throw that one out there first if anybody wants to grab it.
I can jump on that. I think it's much simpler than one would assume. Be a good human and take care of people with the boundaries that you have to protect you, in a business setting, but take care of people. Our mantra is love thy neighbor. And so to me, it's super simple. Just be a good person. If we have to apologize, let's apologize. If we step outside of our boundaries to take care of it the right way, do that. You'll never be in a position of being in trouble for something like that if it was done with the right purpose.
I love it. Jim,
Hey,
Greg?
Tom, could you rephrase that? I think I got it, but basically you're asking what do we want out of our people, or what does?
Yeah, most of the time when I'm talking to store managers, the thing that they
Yeah,
ask me the most is, what does my boss want from me? How do I please
it's interesting because it's hard to quantify, but we know, I would say we being me and Hendrix, um, when it's there, and I'm trying to say what it is, but just we've got people that are really engaged and giving it their all, and when they're doing that, it's easy to see. It's a little harder to quantify exactly what that is, but I would say, all that we want, and I think, hopefully this gets relayed, is we never really come down hard on anybody as long as they're putting forth, if we know they're trying, so there's room to make mistakes within our organization. Because we know if somebody's, really putting out their best effort with the job, and, that's the only thing really that we ask, is just give it your all, and at the end of the day, turn it off and go have a good work-life balance. But when you're here, be engaged and ready to do your best. So
you know,
that's really all I would ask.
and I think what I hear them say back is, they have my back, and so that's what makes it go both ways. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
Jim, you say you don't work with the store managers. I don't quite believe that, but you work around them all the time, and I know you
Yeah.
have your ear, and you have some other ears that are really important.
Well, we're not really, we don't have the clearly defined roles, right? In fact, it's not uncommon for us to say in certain settings to the owner, what should I say I am? You don't,
That sounds familiar.
you don't know. But I do know for him, what he's looking for is number one, hands down, friendly customer service. That it has to happen. Nothing will spiral him more to see someone in a leadership role not possess that. I know in today's world, because we have a hard time getting employees, reliability's huge. Honesty, is another. If you run a tight ship, not overstaffed, not understaffed. Um, I guess but the biggest thing is just customer service. Just the customer is number one. Like it's not okay for you to, even though you may be stocking the shelves, if there's four people in line, you have to prioritize that. Like, and that's just the customer's number one. You've got to see that.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to wrap it up here. And I just wanted to give out a tip. And I'm not going to tell you how to do this, but if you can connect to Jim Neaton and you have that Christmas gift that's just for that person that's really hard to reach, and they happen to enjoy a good whiskey or a fine liquor. The best gift I ever gave was a recommendation from Jim Dean. I'm not
Well,
saying that I'm going to tell you how to get that, but if you're
I
in,
am the king of connecting, right? That's what I say. That's the value I bring. Nothing original, but I know how to connect the dots. So he asked for something. I knew somebody. It's very similar, Stephanie, with Hank.
Yep.
Like I'm not going to try to think of this stuff, but I know someone who may be doing it, right? So in this case, Tom, I just connected you with the right guy.
I still get compliments 2 years later. Everybody wants me to give them their gift now. So thank you, Jim.
You know, I just was the connector. That was it.
All right, we're down to the last minute. Mason, what is any last question or any summary before we send everybody back and get ready for our Christmas holidays?
We did have one question left over from the audience. And again, any last minute questions from anybody who's listening, just throw them in the Q&A real quick. I know we're coming up on time, but we might have a few extra minutes here if there's any burning questions. I think open question to the panel, how do you protect your in-store talent? All this competition's coming in. A lot of people here with a lot of manager tenure. So how do you maintain your staff and protect that talent that's doing such a good job from going elsewhere?
I think what you're doing, Stephanie, is huge in that offering that gas discount. I think, it's a great thing to offer them for sure.
Thank you. I would say the simple answer is to serve them as a human, and just a very short list of examples. We have an internal program where you can get counseling, private counseling with professionals, and the company pays for it. It's limited annually, but we provide that. We have an internal ministry where we budget a certain amount of dollars, and if we have a team member that needs help with an electricity bill or a car issue that came up that they don't have the funding for, they can apply for internal ministries. We're a conduit to our local providers who help with energy bills and housing needs. There's a lot that we try to treat them as our family member beyond the employment relationship. And so, we don't do it for the point of turnover, but it certainly does impact our turnover. And we have really good numbers in those that area of the business. We're really proud of those numbers, but it's really just to take care of that person as a whole. If they don't have daycare, they're not going to get to work. If they happen to get to work, they're not going to have a good day. If they don't have a good day, they're not going to take care of the customer. So we're really focused on that full circle service to the individual. And it's just frankly harder to leave a group when it's not just this transactional scenario at the end of the week. And so that's it's a byproduct that we're thankful for, but it's much more purposeful and deeper than that.
You guys all do that well, and you all talk about
Thank
these things,
you.
about communication and culture and caring. So we do have one more. Mason, I can't interpret that one in the chat. Maybe you can help me with that, but I think it's related. Staffing and how do you recruit talent, and is staffing an issue? I'm guessing there's a similar answer here, but just wanted to throw it out specifically.
Is that to Mason or me? I'm sorry.
All Stephanie or Greg or Jim,
Okay.
how do you address staffing and recruiting, and does that play into is staffing an issue, was the direct question.
For us, it's a huge issue, and I don't think we have the solution. We've, as you guys know, Bandy Works, we're starting to roll out some new ideas, but I think the big thing for us that increased applications was making it easier. Like, they don't want the form that you had to fill out in 2000 better not be the form today, because they won't fill it out.
Yeah.
So just making it simple, and then that would be, I think, the biggest increase in us getting people to sit down and talk to them. Now, we have a competitive wage that was, I think, really, really stopped the bleeding. We knew we had a good work environment, but at the end of the day, if he can walk down the street and make $3 more an hour, you better. It's going to
Absolutely.
be hard to compete with that, right? So we're probably at the top of what you would pay somebody in our industry, in our area. So I think that's kind of what Sunrise is doing.
Couple ideas. If you're not doing it yet, Facebook ads for hiring. Do push activity. If you are doing Facebook ads, but it's generalized, we're very specific. So if we have a need in a town for a certain role, we specify all of that, and we tend to get better results from that. For people in management, if you're not measuring things such as staffing levels, so we know our percentage of understaffed every week. We update that, and so we have 5 districts. Sorry, we have 5 districts, and so they can see each other. So if so-and-so's 2% understaffed and another one is 6% understaffed, we can have those conversations. We can see, is it based on our locations, or do we have something going on? Or you can just find a lot of indicators in that measurement. And then another thing that we do is we measure our turnover in the first 90 days. I think that's pretty typical, but if anyone's listening and they're not doing that, that can be a sign. So if you have a store or a district where their turnover in the first 90 days is higher than some of the other districts or the company average, there's questions to go ask there. It might be in your training, it might be in your culture, but there's something there that you got to figure out. So those would be a couple KPIs that can be used to go find your trouble and get a more direct path to it.
Well, listen, we have to stop here. Thank you so much. You can tell by the engagement and the attendance that you guys did an awesome job. We appreciate all you're here. So hope all of you
Thank
have
you.
a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
You as well.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
You.
Bye-bye.
So.
Bye.